computer. All right, thank you all for being on here this evening. We still have more of you joining us. And if you're watching live in the page, welcome to our informative Zoom. We want to help you all, get you some information. Many of you are familiar with photobiomodulation, or maybe you were just introduced to it, but we definitely want to give you an opportunity to ask your questions, to be able to make sure that your needs are met with whatever that may be, whatever that looks like for you, and you know, keep this fun and informative. So I'm going to start off by introducing Dr. Mel. Dr. Mel and I met at Quantum University several years ago, and we have known each other, been friends on Facebook. And you know how that is when you're friends with somebody on Facebook, and then, you know, we actually never have still met in person, but we started working with each other recently. So Dr. Mel, give them just a quick little background on you and what you focus on in your practice and what,
Sure.
yeah.
I would love to. So, you know, I focus in gut health and helping people to reduce their food sensitivities, repairing the gut's lining, because inflammation is the cause of all issues, basically, right? So that has been my focus and my practice. I use different type of bioresonance technologies such as biofeedback, you know, Bioworld, tools like that to help people achieve a higher quality of life. But recently, Dr. Stacy and I have been working together in the field of photobiomodulation. And I first started using it for myself. You know, as integrative doctors, we all do that. We want to see what it is. And then I used it for my family, and then later on for my clients. And I was just mind blown by the results I was seeing. Like these chronic conditions, they were reversing, and it was absolutely beautiful. So like people with Crohn's, people with grief, people with anything, like it was just going back. So this is why it was so exciting to me. I contacted Dr. Stacy and I said, let's work together and let's help many people get their eyes on this modality. This is important and it's changing lives, and we need people to know, because I mean, of course, repairing the gut is very important, but stem cells is the holy grail of healing.
On a fucking meeting.
You do your thing, because I don't know what time.
It's totally okay now. So yeah, stem cell is the holy grail of healing. So basically, you know, it's working deeper, addressing the inflammation. They are pluripotent. They can go into any liver tissues and organs and repair themselves. So I'll let Dr. Stacy to introduce it further, go in deeper, and from there on, we can answer any questions that you have at any time. Just feel free to put it in the chat. And also, I would like Nima Farshid, who's the Bioworld distributor that we work closely with, to explain the findings that he has had with the patches and the Bioworld and the results that he's seeing.
Awesome.
They're doing a thing online right now.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. All right, so let me go ahead and hit mute really quick to everybody so that I'm able to
For the heart.
have the background noise gone. And if you need to unmute yourself, just raise your hand and I will gladly click the button that allows you to unmute yourself, okay? So I will share just real quickly myself, for those of you that are not familiar. I have been researching stem cells the last 20 years. I've banked both of my kids' cord blood. They're in a cryo facility in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so stem cells are something that I have been very aware of for a very long time. I've actually spent the last 10 years doing different types of stem cell therapy with my daughter after she suffered a brain bleed from being in the hospital for a year after multiple misdiagnoses of cancer. And she was in a coma. She had coded at one point in time. And so after getting out of the hospital, a year later, spending the last 14 years doing all different types of things, holistic, every modality I could get my hands on, a big part of that was stem cell therapies for the last 10 years, different types of stem cell therapies, from hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy to you know, injections and laser directed technology with stem cells. And so when I found this technology last year, the X39 stem cell activation patch, for me, it was a no-brainer to have something, a technology to utilize with my daughter to help her body increase its own stem cell production on a daily basis in a way that was non-invasive, that had no side effects, that didn't have any contraindications to anything else that we were doing. And it's affordable. It's the price of a cup of coffee a day. And we have spent literally over $100,000 out of our pocket into different types of stem cell therapy over the years, not to mention the other therapies and other things we were doing. So for me, this tech was very simple and easy and affordable and effective. We saw more results with our daughter in the last year than we've seen in the last 15 years from anything and everything we've done, and everything we've done has helped her. So don't get me wrong, I'm not putting any type of therapy or modality down as being inferior. They've all been beneficial. They've all helped her in some way along her journey. You know, we were able to get her off all the medications because she came home with 25 oral and IV meds, a PICC line, a central line, a G tube, a J tube, and a trach. And so, you know, the big core part of that first year and a half detoxing her and getting those things off and out of her body was very important. And all the things we've done over the years have supported that with being able to, you know, help her have a good quality of life. But this patch far succeeded anything that we've seen with her being able to communicate with us, to being able to have better functionality in her bodies, her systems, her hormones, her limbs, being able to communicate with each other to do things on purposeful, and just being able to have a better quality of life. Being able to have more joy and experience because she's able to interact with people more so over the last year. I will share with you, just so you all know this, you're aware of this. My daughter passed away 2.5 weeks ago, very unexpectedly. She just one morning woke up and was throwing up and wouldn't open her eyes. And we took her to the doctor, some hospital, right? Something didn't seem right. And she ended up having a blood vessel that had burst, they think, in the back of her head at her brainstem. And within a 24-hour period, was not, you know, we knew that she was not going to be able to recover from this. So for us, this patch gave us the best year of her life that we had with her in the form of being able to communicate. She was always happy. We loved interacting with her and doing things with her, but she couldn't communicate with us up until this last year. And so we were able to have conversations with her that we never had before. So it was absolutely the most incredible experience, you know, as a parent to be able to have that kind of interaction. So my mission and purpose with this, to share with people around the globe, to help other people have a better quality of life, from things such as pain and inflammation and, you know, quality of sleep and of your mind and clarity. But again, like Mel said, you know, getting to that root of the issue, of the problem, getting down deep, and stem cells do that. And the body has its own innate ability to know how to heal itself. We've just got to give it those tools, right? And this is a tool that's very simple, effective, affordable, and non-invasive. So I want Nima to come on and share with us just from this past weekend, especially. And then before that, the things you were doing with your clients to be able to show how we are as practitioners utilizing the Bioworld and different, of course, modalities and methods, such as Mel's using in her practice with Brain Tap or with the Brain Genius, the biofeedback and things like that. So how, Nima, are you experiencing the patch with what you're doing with Bioworld?
So, hi, everybody. My name is Nima Farshid. I'm one of the distributors and researchers at Bioworld. Bioworld is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's a technology that is that allows us to monitor the flow of energy through a human body. So I've done a lot of research with it, and I met this company through my own healing journey. And what this device is good for is a research device. It's a scientific research device, as respected by the scientific community. I train the future naturopathic doctors, and you know, they use the data that they're collecting from this to defend their thesis. So that's how the data is respected. And I do a lot of research with a lot of different companies, and I do a lot of research with sound healers, with Reiki masters, and we want to realize and we want to understand that how different modalities influence the energetic field and the biofield. So I'm always interested in working with you know, modalities that are non-invasive, that they don't have any chemicals, and you know, there's no way that they could hurt somebody. So it makes the process of research so much easier and safer. So when I was introduced to Dr. Stacy and Mel, they introduced me to these patches that work with, you know, practically there's no chemicals on them, and it's just like water, sugar crystals, and they just contain information that activates our internal bodies to starting to produce specific hormones, or you know, activates the process of detoxification in the system. So I wanted to put it to the test, and last weekend were actually invited to go to the 3 days of consciousness talks in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I wish you guys were there. It was such an amazing event, and Bruce Lipton was there.
Some of
Greg
them
Braden,
were there.
yeah, it was very amazing. And one of the cases that was super fascinating that I wanted to be here and share with you guys was a case that we had with one of our dear friends, Lisa Lynch. And I had the device there. Is Lisa here today? Hi,
Yes,
Lisa,
she's
how are
here.
you?
Lisa, yes.
So I was, we were doing research, we're scanning a lot of people there, and that's what we're there for.
Just want to say hi.
Hi, Lisa, good to see you.
You too.
So I was, when Lisa came, we did the scan on her, and I thought that it should be an amazing case to really see for ourselves in real time how we could see if the the biophotons would influence her field to a point, because I heard a lot of stories that people getting some amazing results from applying these patches and seeing really improving their lives. So I wanted to see it for myself. I'm a scientist. It has to be proven to me in black and white through numbers, through graphs, and then I can start to believe it myself. So this was super interesting to me, and I want to share my screen here, if I have your permission, Lisa, to share your scan. So I'm going to share my screen here. If you could allow me to share my screen, Dr. Stacy.
Yep. Just made you a host, so you're a host.
Awesome.
You
I
can
think you guys
share.
would really enjoy this. So and I haven't used this laptop before. I don't know if it's going to allow me to share my
Should
screen.
be at the
Oh, no.
bottom. Bottom.
Yeah, it's asking me to go to settings to do something here right now. I will share that with you guys in just a little bit. If you guys want to continue this conversation, I have to log in from my own laptop in order to be able to share my screen to show those the data that I collected there. I'm using a guest laptop here. So if you would like to take control, and I will be back in just a few minutes. I'm going to go bring my other laptop. Let me unmute you so we can hear you.
Yes, yes. We'll say unmute me then. Perfect. Okay, so I don't know.
And I'm going to make you host for now.
Yeah, make me host. Yeah, that'd be great. So I can let people back in. Yeah, so we'll definitely have Nima share. But so basically with Lisa, and I'm going to interview her tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern on a Zoom that we do as a larger platform as a community. But Lisa's story is amazing, and what happened for her with her transformation. Lisa, do you want to share with them real quickly? Do you care just to share a couple minutes on Friday when I met you? The very first person that I meet when I get my stuff set up at this table here next to Nima, Lisa comes up in her chair and she tells me about a boating accident from 10 years ago and how, in the process of saving her daughter's life, what had happened to her coming down on a wave, and that she had been in a wheelchair for the last 10 years. And of course, my heart is going, oh my gosh, as a mother who just lost her daughter and just connected with her instantly on a soul level, I could just feel every aspect of her. And of course, so we talk and get to know each other more so over the couple days, right, of the event. So Lisa, do you care to share real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it was so amazing when I was sharing my story with you and you were sharing your story with me, and it just felt like we were supposed to meet. And I'm really blown away by the weekend. I'm still trying to absorb it all because I have so much energy in my body from these stem cells. Like my trainer yesterday couldn't believe how my legs were moving in sync better, how, I was standing for maybe 10 extra minutes yesterday. So the results that I'm seeing are just so profound. And, I did a lot of the work over the last 10 years. So being able to connect and then also do the Bioworld and seeing where I was energetically and how I healed myself was empowering for me, because I've been doing the work, and then to actually have the feedback that I'm actually, I'm almost there. And then when you had the tools that I needed, and when I could see all the energies that weren't, that I needed to open up, it was really life changing for me. And I couldn't be more grateful. I mean, I signed up on the spot for everything, and I want to be part of everything and share my story with the world, because this stuff is just beyond amazing.
Yeah, so when Lisa came up to the table, Lisa, she said, I can stand some for seconds, right? And she held onto the table and stood up and then sat back down. And I said, do you care if I put a couple patches on you? And I used the X39 stem cell activation patch. And then I also placed a patch called Eon, which reduces inflammation systemically, both of those on her lower back, one underneath the other. And that's when you were like, oh, I can feel my energy, I can feel my legs. And she did the Bioworld scan, and it showed that she had blockage in the meridian, the energetic meridian, the kidney point from, right up in here all the way down. And so I said, oh, let me put the energy enhancers on you. That is a patch that turns fat into fuel, and it helps open up the energy channels. And so I put those patches on you, and then it was just like a whole nother world opened up. We could scan you again afterwards and see the differences. And for me, just to watch you each day, you would come in and you'd say, okay, last night I stood up against the truck and I was able to kind of dance a little bit. And then you came in on Sunday, you're like, okay, I was able to get gas and walked around the vehicle to get the gas myself. And then Sunday evening, you're like, okay, I can walk. And I'm like, wait a minute, on Friday, you were not walking. You were not walking. And of course, the weekend's powerful, right? It's collective consciousness evolution and the meditations and the work that's being done. But you're like, these patches, like all I did was put these same exact patches on her Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So to me, that was just mind blowing, because her goal is to walk by October. And here you are today, Lisa.
Yes, I'm gonna be running by October.
Yes, you are.
Because if I'm running, I'll be walking.
Yeah, so we've kind of upped that goal, I think, girl. Definitely you achieved that. I mean, wow, just mind blowing to watch your body transform in such a short period of time. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you so much.
Yes, and could you pick up on the difference of my energy field around me? I mean, it
Totally.
was so, yes, the energy is just so, so strong. And I'm so grateful that this whole weekend happened and I was so ready. So thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you. I will see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern if you guys want to hear her full 15. She has a full 15 minutes to share everything. So Nima, were you able to get your information, do you think? You're not muted. Can you hear me?
I am actually attaching it right now and emailing it to Dr. Mel, because I have an issue sharing the screen with this, so we can share the results.
Okay, so once she gets it, Mel, just let me know. Okay, so what I want to do now is see what questions you all have. So you can either type them in the chat, or you can raise your hand, you know how you just do the little hand thing, or you can wave at me and I'll unmute you and you can ask any question that you have. We're more than happy to help. All right, Izzy, I asked to unmute you. So go ahead and unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, everyone. I actually new to this, and I'm really appreciating everything I'm hearing. And I love your result, Lisa. That's amazing, actually, because you obviously in your stem, you didn't have, it wasn't severed or anything. It's just like a lot of blockage and things like that. And it's fantastic. It's really, this is the best result you can get. I'm from Australia, from Sydney. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I just had a meeting earlier before you started that, conference, and I would love to join you tomorrow night if I can. Just send me an invite, and I will try and join you again there. But I got to go now because I got an appointment at 9:30 Australian time, which is 10 minutes from now. And
right.
But I appreciate and nice meeting you all. And thank you for all the information. And I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Dr. Izzy, for being with us.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
We'll
you.
talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon. All right,
Bye.
Mel has the
Bye.
scan now. So Mel, you want to screen share?
Yes, let me see. Okay. So can you guys see this
Yep.
result data? Okay. Tell me where to go, Nima.
So this was so we did the before and after. We did the before scan, And right after, so the first scan, if you can see, was at 1701.
Mhm.
And so we see that the energy field was at 41 joules of energy. So the Bioworld measures how the energy field is, is functioning by the units of joules. Joules are units for measuring energy. We use inches for measuring length. And in Bioworld, we use joules to see how much total energy the system has. So this is the energy reserve. And this is the total energy that the system has to function with. So when the liver is functioning, when the kidney is functioning, these all need energy to function with. And we have a total overall amount of energy that we can expend this energy to be functional. So as we can see at 5 p.m., we were at 41 joules. And by 5:30, once we place the patches, the energy went to 46 joules. That's 5 joules of energy. That's a lot of energy to be able to introduce that into a system within about 30 minutes. And if you look at the balance shows us the balance between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. So we can see like what is the entanglement of the right and the left hemisphere, and that is the sign of coherence, and then that's the sign of like a easy and good energy in the system. So we can see she was already very good to begin with because she's such an amazing person. And we see she was at 98% balance, but even with the patches, she became even more amazing, and she went up to 100%. So that was something to notice as well, that how the autonomic system became into perfect balance after having the patches on. And now here we're looking at the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. So here, it's the graphs that the colors of the purple and the orange that you saw in the graphs. That's showing us how much energy is being accessed from which hemisphere of the brain. So when we see on the green color here in the center, that's the optimal amount of energy. Like when we're in the green, that's the right communication between organs and the different sides of the brain. So the orange is before we place the patches on her, and as you can see, the values are so much smaller. And they're more like close to the orange circle, which is a sign of a depletion of energy. But then when you look at the purple lines, which is the after, you can see how in different systems, especially if you look at the on the right side, as you can see in the orange, there's one specific section that had a big indentation, or we call it a big block in energy there. And that was right in the middle of her spine. Mm-hmm. And once we applied the patches, you can see how perfectly that energy got supplied, and the amount of energy flow in the midsection of the spine came back into that green area, which is the optimal zone. So that was really nice to be able to see that in real time. Mm-hmm. And this is talking about like more of the overall energy production in the system. So just like a cell phone that we charge a cell phone, and it has a total amount of charge to so we can run different apps in there. Our system is the same way. So when we sleep, we wake up in the morning, then we have a specific number of joules to be functioning with during that day. So this is showing us that energy reserve of how much total energy we have to be functioning with. And here again, we can see that the purple lines, which was the after, we can see that there are a lot more coming up into that green zone, which is the optimal area, and they're energizing the system. So that was really nice to see as well. And here we get to actually see directly to see how much stress is in the system. And this stress is due to, it's not just emotional stress, it has to do with a lot of different types of stress. It could be physiological, if the energy is not flowing right in the system, that can cause internal stress. So for her, once we scanned her at the beginning, it was at 5.03, which is kind of like it's a little bit past into the danger zone. We don't want to get to the red area. That becomes extremely dangerous. So we want to be pushing more to the optimal zone, which is around 2 to 3 joules of average energy there. And we see just in a matter of a very short time, we're able to bring the stress level even down from in a medium range to back into a more of a coherent zone. Still needs to be improved. And we can also see the energy, how it improved. That energy was at the beginning was at 41.26 joules of energy. And ideally, we want to be around close to like 55 joules of energy to be like, perfect. And we can see that, in a very short amount of time, how much the energy moved into the optimal zone, which was, that was really good to see also. And the balance that, we talked about at the beginning. That's just showing us the accuracy of the communication between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. And we can see that, it just almost like went to perfect, almost 100%. That was really cool. And here the organ disbalance is showing us, if you're kind of like living in the past or the future, if you're like worried about something that hasn't happened yet, or we're kind of like stuck analyzing something that's in the past. And we can see that in the orange zone, she had a little bit of pull to the right side. So, if you're pulling to the right, it means that we're, becoming a little bit overly analytical about life. And we can see that like after the patches, even the balance between the left and the right hemisphere became a lot more coherent. So she moved into a more of a now rather than kind of like living in the past or future. So that was cool to see. And one more thing that I noticed was in her autonomic nervous system, which is right here. So in the balance view here, we're looking at how is the autonomic nervous system, how is the parasympathetic and the sympathetic system are functioning. And the more of these highlights that we have, that means that the system is more under stress. So in the first graph, you're seeing the before, which if you count, the highlighted ones are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or is it counted right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And right after, you can see that how the autonomic nervous system kind of like balanced itself out. And we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was like almost like 50% improvement in the autonomic nervous system in a matter of 30 minutes. So that was pretty fascinating as well. I think that's pretty much all the findings that I had. I mean, that was really awesome. And one thing I noticed here was in the heart chakra. That was very interesting to note, because as you can see on the before scan, it was the heart chakra was a little bit skewed to the right. And that tells us that, there's some inner emotions influencing that energy center. And, chakras, as we know, chakra means wheel in Sanskrit. And they have like a pendulum motion. So usually when they're stuck, they pull to one side and just gonna like stay there. And from my experience of scanning thousands of people all around the world, I realized that as soon as we release a blockage in the energy center, then it immediately kind of like a pendulum. Imagine if a pendulum is moving to the side and like you hold it, and then once you release it, it automatically goes to the completely opposite side. And that's kind of like what we noticed right here with the heart chakra, that it went from the emotional inner emotions into like an extrovert. So I wanted to do one more scan of her to see like if it, because usually afterwards, like 5-10 minutes, it perfectly comes into balance and is like in the perfect state of coherence. But we didn't get a chance to do that. So those are all really, really awesome findings.
Okay, I'm
I
trying
see a
to.
question here.
There we
No,
go.
we did a all 10 finger scan. I think, yeah, Nicole had a question.
Perfect.
So that was like, yeah, we did all 10 scans, but it was only one scan. So we just got an express assessment of her in that moment.
Yeah. And we also had a question, Beatrice asked if we could share the studies, the research. So Nima, that was just capturing a, 30 minutes right there. Just you heard what I applied, the X39, the Eon, and then of course we applied the energy enhancer. And so you can just see the difference in the body in such a short period of time, in such a dramatic way across all systems of the body. So that was fantastic. And that was one, right, Lisa? And we scanned, hundreds of people over the weekend, and we were able to patch a lot of them and turn around and scan them again. So definitely an incredible tool to be able to utilize if you have in your practice already, right? And if not, then, NEMA can definitely help you with that. They do all kinds of coursework and studies and work together to make sure you're trained on that, if it's something you decide you want to utilize with your clients. So we're super excited. Thank you, NEMA, for sharing those
Of course.
studies. I appreciate that. Beatrice did ask in the chat the studies and the research as far as on a clinical basis. So this patch, this company has over 90 clinical studies, double-blind placebo studies done with independent laboratories, physicians, practitioners all over the globe, places like Harvard and Stanford and Oxford and things like that, of course, too, but a lot of independent laboratories and researchers. So I posted in the chat and website, it's startx39.com. You will see videos on there, information. You will also see the inventor of these patches, David Schmidt, talking about the patch, how it works, the science behind it, which is, of course, photobiomodulation. The body is light. We emit light. Our body reflects back a signal from this patch. Our body's light reflects back a signal, and that signal increases our body's stem cell production through the pathway of GHK, Cu, copper peptide. All the information will be found on that website in regards to in-depth, including the clinical studies, including the 20-year patent that's on this patch, as well as many other doctors, physicians, and practitioners sharing their recorded video testimonials of how they're utilizing this in their practice and what they're seeing as results from their clients and the different conditions and issues and symptoms that they are working with. And I know many of you are practitioners, and we do have a book. It's called Self-Healing with Light. So if you are a practitioner and you are utilizing this in your, this is something you want to utilize in your practice, working with us, us helping you with your clients, we will definitely get you the contact info for the lady that prints these for us. The book was written by an acupuncture physician years ago. And so it has an A to Z guide of just all different types of health conditions and issues, symptoms, things people deal with. Of course, we're not treating, diagnosing, or curing anything, but you can see the different protocols using the different patches and how to apply them on the acupuncture meridians and acupuncture points in order to elicit effects to help the body get into that balance, right? Just so you know, the X39 stem cell activation patch is not in the book. The book was written a very long time ago. This company, this inventor, David, started the company 17 years ago when he was working with the Navy SEALs. So he has invented 12 different supportive patches over the years while he was doing the research and development for this stem cell activation patch. It took him 10 years to figure out how to signal the body to increase its own stem cell production, to upregulate over a third of the genome to its perfect expression. So just know that if you do decide, this is something you want to share and help other people with, you won't find that patch in there, but it is the foundation of everything. It is the first thing I put on Lisa. It's the first thing I put on everybody. Anybody that walked by the table, let me put a patch on the back of your neck, right? And that's the X39 stem cell activation patch. I don't know that you'll notice anything from it right away. Some people can. You guys are very in tune with your body, very aware. So some people did notice a feeling, an energy feeling or euphoric feeling, or could tell kind of tingling or things like that. But maybe you won't notice anything, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. The clinical studies show that in the first 3 to 6 weeks, that's when 80% of the people notice a dramatic difference. They notice things are different, whether it's pain reduction, deeper sleep, more mental energy, clarity, concentration, or focus, or maybe they just have faster wound healing, an overall sense of better well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That's like the 3 to 6 week mark is when we really can start to see those things, but especially your digestive system, immune system, and your nervous system really start to come online at that 3 to 6 week mark. General rule of thumb, 1 month for every 10 years you are old is how long you want to use the X39 stem cell activation patch. So you get up in the morning, you put it on the back of your neck or below your belly button, leave it on 12 hours, take it off, throw it away, or put it in your pet bed or on your pet. You can definitely help your pets as well too with these. Make sure you're drinking half your body weight in ounces in water every day. It's super important for the conductivity in your cells with the light, that communication is taking place with water in your system, right? So I want to make sure you have time right now to ask questions, anything. So good question. Linda said if you're 50, then you use it for 5 months. So I'll be 48 this year. I decided I was going to use it for 6 months and see what I could tell difference-wise. I noticed improvement in my physical activity, recovery from exercise, noticed improvement in my brain functionality and abilities. But really, you guys, the big thing for me, I don't have any health conditions. I noticed in my blood work at the 6 week mark, I was scanned by the AO scan, and I also had my blood work done at the exact same time by my naturopathic doctor. And they showed that my biomarkers, my systems in my body were functioning as a 30-year-old. So that was really important for me. I know the science behind this says that I will stop my aging process and reverse the aging process. And that typically tends to be about every 6 months is about 8 years younger. Sorry. I have a tickle in my throat all of a sudden. So with that, we always tell people stop using the patch whenever you want to start aging again. So if you don't want to age, then keep using the patch. You can keep using it day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. There are no side effects other than you're going to get younger. You're going to look younger. You're going to feel younger. You're going to have the best quality of life ever. Or if you're someone like Mel that's 23, she's never going to age. She'll never get a day older, right? We know that when our body's young, we have an abundance amount of stem cells. By the time when we're 30s, we're making about half. By the time we're in our 60s, you can barely detect 10% in the bloodstream, if even that. So you can definitely continue to keep wearing them. You can take a break if you choose to. Just know that your body will regenerate and repair and rejuvenate itself to that point. From that point, then that day that you stop wearing the patch, your body will start that aging process again on a daily basis, just like it would anyway. Okay, but we do have the science to show the regeneration of all your cells and tissues and organs. That's what's in the clinical studies. So as far as FDA approved, it is not FDA approved. It's not a medicine or a food. And so we definitely do not want to have this FDA approved. We want to make sure that this is something that we are utilizing to help the body get into homeostasis, not altered by chemicals or processes that make it no longer effective. So if you want to do an experiment on yourself, then I would talk to whoever you work with that does your blood work. Different practitioners do different things. They test for different biomarkers. So I don't have a specific use this type of blood test to tell your age. I would talk to your practitioner and they could be able to direct you, whether it's a genetic testing or, looking at your telomeres. Different practitioners use different things, but yeah, you can definitely do that to kind of get a baseline. I didn't have a baseline. I just know, because I haven't actually been to a doctor. I go to chiropractors and massage therapists and acupuncturists and Reiki healers. So I don't see typical doctors, but I thought, well, I've been doing this for 6 months. I know my age and I want to see what a nurse practitioner, or a naturopathic doctor would be able to tell me from my blood work. So 6 pages later, I'm able to share that from that point of view, but also I do have a baseline for my AO scan before the patches, and I have a scan now with the AO scan 6 months in. So I can also show those, the improvements of the organs and the functionality of different things in my body. So great questions. What other questions do you guys have? Yes, Nicole, I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi there, thank you, great information. With the X39, is there any preference with doing it at night while you're sleeping versus doing it during the day?
That's a great question. So with the X39, a lot of people do notice an increase in energy, mental focus and concentration, and physical energy. And so it's not something that we recommend. You can try it if you want to. I've fallen asleep before and forgot to take my patches off and had no problem sleeping. But I do have some people that it depends on your sleep, right? Some people say if they leave it on too late in the evening, then they have a harder time going to sleep just because of the increased energy. And so, look at your like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. time frame, or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we try to keep it during the day if possible.
Perfect, thank you.
Great question. So Beatrice asked, FDA approval would give it more credibility. Why are you not applying for that? So for us, and maybe Dr. Melanima, you could speak, or maybe some other practitioners would like to speak on that as well too in our world, what we do. So FDA approval means that it has to be altered in some way, right? It has to be marketed to be able to be sold by big pharma into doctors' offices. Now we do have doctors, we do have MDs, we have NDs, we have DCs, we have DOs all over the world, of course, that are utilizing this in their practice. But David does not want this to be FDA approved. He does not want to have to deal with the big pharma companies and things being altered to be kind of producing a result. This photobiomodulation is using our body as the source, the light that we all know we are, to communicate in a biophotonic exchange. And so that's not something you can put in a pill, or it would be a transdermal patch. They would have something like a pain patch or a nicotine patch or a birth control patch that they would have to put something into the product in order for it to do something. And this has been peer reviewed. The website that I shared, startx39.com, does definitely have the 90 clinical studies. So you can see the studies with the different, whether it's HRV or the Biowell or neurofeedback, biofeedback, microscopy, traditional blood work, different types of scans that definitely show the credibility and the functionality of the patch on the different systems. So we are not a bio, I don't know what you're saying, but biomedical device as far as, like the Healy or something like that. It's a very different type of communication system. Nicole?
Thank you. That made sense. Is there any, I know I've got a lot of people with psoriasis and eczema where the stickiness of the patch would potentially like irritate their skin. Is there another way to apply that without having to stick it onto like raw inflamed skin?
Perfect. So the patch can be put anywhere on the body. So if you put it on CV7 or below the belly button, that's the governing meridian, that's perfectly fine. But if there's a place on the body that you want to stick it, you can put it anywhere. It's working systemically no matter what. Okay. So don't think that I can't put it on this spot because there's eczema there. But I will tell you, you can take this sticky part and you can stick it on the inside of your shirt and leave it right there. And it's going to do the same thing as long as it's coming in contact with the body. It is a 3M hypoallergenic patch. So there's no latex, there's nothing harmful in here. There's nothing that's going to interact with the skin, but you can just stick it on the inside of your clothing. And as long as it's right there on the body's light is reflecting back the signal onto the person, into the person. So absolutely. Someone asked if the patch can be used with the Healy. Absolutely. It definitely can be used with the Healy. It can be used with any different type of device that you're utilizing. There's no contraindications. There's no side effects because it's signaling a pathway in the body through photobiomodulation. It's communicating on its own way, on its own with the different pathways and the different peptides. So anything that you're currently using, this is not, I'm not saying you're going to replace it. This is a great tool in your toolbox to use in addition to what you're currently doing. And you have many modalities that you utilize, right? And so this definitely can go hand in hand with what you're currently doing to help your clients to get into homeostasis on all levels. That's the thing. We don't have to direct this to do anything. Our body has its own innate healing ability. It knows what to do and how to do it. We're just going to assist it by helping it elevate its stem cell production. Stem cells go to work. They're pluripotent. They can turn into any tissue, cell, or organ that's needed, and the body knows what it needs first in order to survive. And so it definitely can work synergistically with whatever your practice is currently to help your clients, whether it's the X39 stem cell activation patch or the patch that gets rid of pain immediately, the ice wave, or energy enhancer that turns fat into fuel, or Eon that reduces inflammation, glutathione increases your glutathione level by 300%, sustaining it for a 24-hour period. Again, it's all non-invasive. There's nothing going into the body. So it's signaling pathways, peptides to help the body do what it's designed to do. And that's David's mission, is very much a heart-brain coherence, keeping that body into alignment and doing things to help assist the body to get into alignment that are non-invasive, that are very affordable, the price of a cup of coffee a day, and very effective. And again, with the clinical studies, we can show that. So I love your questions. Do you guys have any other questions? You can type them or you can ask to unmute. Okay, Linda. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if I have a patient that has Parkinson's and they're on Parkinson's medications, do I have to let the doctor know? Do the medications need to be reevaluated more frequently?
So that's a great question. So with anything, we definitely are not here to treat, diagnose, or cure. Please check with your healthcare practitioner if you have any concerns, if there's anything you would like them to check out, to monitor what's going on with your health. So we have to say that, right? Absolutely. I don't want to say, yeah, just start it. No worries. Definitely check with your practitioner. Now, as far as medications, or any treatments that you're currently utilizing. Definitely, if you're on chemotherapy, you would not use the patch or any patches on the days that you're on chemotherapy or using radiation. If you have an organ transplant, such as a liver, kidney, lung, or heart, then you would not use the stem cell activation patch, because your body is probably on you're probably on immunosuppressant medications correctly. And so you would not want to use something to increase your own stem cell production. The other patches, of course, check with your healthcare provider. As far as a specific thing as Linda with Parkinson's, that obviously you're monitoring medications. We can share with you. I don't know if you're in the Quantum X39 Telegram channel yet, but if not, Linda will get you added to that, and you can actually see we have over 2,000 recorded personal testimonials from clients in that, and you can type in Parkinson's and be able to watch and listen to what people are actually saying. We don't have studies on Parkinson's because obviously if we did, we would show some serious dramatic things happening with people. The very first event I went to last year where I met David, he was speaking here in Sarasota, Florida. And he did an incredible 2-hour talk on the science and technology and whatnot. And then the next hour was an entire hour of personal testimonials of people in the room. Now, there were 250 people in that room. I, at the time, obviously being 47 years old, or 46 at that time, I was the youngest person in the room. The majority of the people were 65 to 85, mostly probably 75 to 85. And they came forward during that hour testimonial time to share their personal testimonials of heart attacks, of bypasses, of strokes, of car accidents, of surgeries, of bipolar, of depression, anxiety, of MS and lupus and all the autoimmune and all the different types of health conditions. And one of the most dramatic was a lady that walked right up front, grabbed the microphone and said, 3 months ago, I was in a wheelchair. She wasn't shaking. There were no tremors, which most people do have tremors, not all. But she said, I was in a wheelchair. I was actually placed in a home in a facility here in Sarasota for people with Parkinson's advanced stages. And basically, this is where I was going to live out the rest of my days. And I've been using the X39 stem cell activation patch. And here I am right in front of you, walking and talking and telling you exactly what this patch has done for me. It saved my life. And I was like, wow, okay, so this is much bigger than I thought. I knew people had different conditions and issues and situations, right? Being in the field that I'm in, but I didn't realize the depth of people's suffering. I didn't realize the pain that they're in mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I didn't realize what they were dealing with on a serious grocery list, as I call it, of health conditions and issues. And I really got a glimpse of that day during that 1 hour. And of course, over the last year, I have listened to thousands of testimonials of people that have been in same dire situations in life, that they've dealt with things for 20, 30, 40 years, rheumatoid arthritis to, chronic this and that, and never searching and using things, but not getting to the root of it, and to have their body's own stem cell production, brand new, young, youthful stem cells come on board and start to work immediately to repair and regenerate their body. It is nothing shy of a miracle. And I'm so grateful, so grateful that I said yes to a random conversation with somebody that asked me to do meditation breath work for this man that owns a wellness center, that I was introduced to this patch. And in searching for things for my daughter, this has definitely proven to not only impact her, but for me, that ripple effect. When I put that stone in the water, I want that ripple effect to reach hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. And I know that it has, and it's going to continue to grow and grow. So we're excited for you as a community of people to use this technology, and also to be able to share that with other people. So Nima, there are a couple of people wanting to talk to you about, if you look in the chat, make sure you look in the chat. And then some people, Mel, are wanting to get into the Quantum X39 channel. And so definitely message Mel. And then Linda says, how do you explain this so you don't sound like you're waving a magic wand? Right? So basically just sharing with people very quickly that our bodies are light. Okay, we know that. We emit light, our trillions of cells. And when we apply the patch to the body, the patch signals the body Our body's light reflects back a signal, signals the body to increase its stem cell production. We know stem cells are the holy grail of healing, and so it brings your stem cells back on board to repair, regenerate, and rejuvenate whatever your body needs in whatever order your body needs. And so the best thing for you to do is to get some stem cell activation patches, start applying them every single day and see for yourself. And then we invite them to things like this, so we can get their questions answered, so they can hear other testimonials. We do have what's called a patching podcast. It's through our entire organization. There's usually 250 plus people every night, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. So anybody is more than welcome to come to that. Bring your clients, your customers. It's 2 people every night, different, that share their personal testimonials, their clients sharing their conditions and issues, and then turning around, sharing how long they've used the X39, and then on to what their experiences have been. And then there's 2 different leaders in our organization that are sharing the science and technology very quickly in a 5 to 10 minute experience, and saying, get back with the person that invited you and they'll help you get set up. So those are Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll share that information in the group. And then also 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday. On Saturdays, once a month, we do have a doctor's call. And so you will hear from different doctors that are going in depth and explaining the different processes with the patches in the body and things like that. The next one is June 13th, which is, I believe, Saturday. So that's the next one. We can definitely share that information with you as well too. June 16th, which is a Saturday. So Holly had a question. Holly, you're unmuted.
Yes, I have a question. I had the patch on and it was really powerful, amazingly powerful. So I moved it. My question is half a day good to do if you're really sensitive? Do you know, is that a thing? Or is it really recommended to do a full 12 hours?
That's a great question. So we're all different in our sensitivity level, of course, and especially with something new, sometimes you may notice more energetic at first in the beginning. And it may continue. I don't know. We're all so different, right? So if you feel like 6 hours is good, then do 6 hours. I've worked with a lot of practitioners over the last year, and there are people that are super sensitive that say, I need to give my body that break to have it, kind of come down from that almost like energy high and be able to, give myself that time and then build up to it over time. So if that works best for you, absolutely. As a typical person that I would talk to as a client, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. The main thing is that they're drinking their water during that time. Okay, so that's really what's important. But I recommend they all wear it 12 hours on, 12 during the day. Yeah. Great question though. But you do what's best for you because you know your body and you know how you're feeling. So play around with that. And the belly button position below the belly button does feel differently than the back of the neck. So most people, if people are sensitive back here, you can super feel the energy. If you can feel that right away, then put it below the belly button. It's not that you're not going to get the effects and benefits, you will, but it's a different area, right? So with the acupuncture meridians, you're going to experience and feel different things. So you may not be as intense in the energy level. Right? Okay, Paula, go ahead, Paula.
Hi, what I wanted to add is I have all kinds of different tools for myself and I use on clients and they're great, but they're not, the thing I love about the patch is you put it on and you can just forget about it. I put a timer on like 8 a.m. I put on my patch, 8 p.m. I remove my patch and it's great because I don't always have time to do the Healy or the Atera, I don't always have time to do them on myself. So what I love about the patches, you stick them on and they do its work by themselves. So I just wanted to add that part.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate that. Yeah, we do. We have a lot of different things.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. This is definitely something you can put it on and go about your day and not worry about it. Just remember to take it back off. If not, you need to wait that 24-hour period. You don't turn into a pumpkin. You're okay. But take it off then when you do remember and give your body a 24-hour break before you apply again. We've all done that. We're like, dang it, I have to skip a day. So it's not, there's no harm done, of course. Any other questions before we hop off here tonight? Okay, so in the group, I will share the patching podcast graphics, the pictures, so you can see the dates and times. So if you have clients that want to just hear personal testimonials from people, they're powerful. They really are. They're 30 minutes. That's it. 30 minutes. We are like drill sergeants on the time. So I have mine tomorrow night with my dear friend in Upline that introduced me to this, Marcy Preble, along with April Vaughn. We all got to know each other. Well, I've known April for 20 years. So when she introduced it to me, I was like, yeah, April, I'm in 100%. Send me the link. But we connected with Marcy immediately. And so Marcy is going to be doing the Patching podcast tomorrow night with me while I interview the beautiful Lisa Lynch that is on here. And so you will get to hear her full story and testimonial and mission and what she's doing in this world to bring awareness to increase the consciousness of the planet, of course, too. So join us tomorrow night for that, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be recording it, of course, too. So get back with whoever, invited you here, this. And if you want, obviously contact myself, contact Mel, and we're more than happy. No, Holly, it's a different Zoom. So I'm going to post it in the page. It's a great question. This is my personal Zoom. We utilize a team space Monday through Saturday, actually, on the different Patching podcasts. So I'll share that with you guys too. And if you have other questions individually, Mel and I have made ourselves very available with our calendar. Please utilize that to book us if you want to book a 30-minute time slot to do a consultation, talk to you, help you individually as individuals or as practitioners. We will definitely do that. Obviously, it doesn't cost anything. We're here to help you, help other people, and improve the quality of lives. So that stone continues to, that ripple effect goes out. It's already out around the globe. And so that's what we're here for, right? Is to help people in a big way. So thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nima, for sharing Biowell. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing your testimonial. And Dr. Mel, of course, love you to pieces, girl. I'm so grateful every single day that we are working together.
Me too.
I'm so happy that we are now a collective group of people that are also expanding together.
It's
So thank
just
you all.
so beautiful. Like everyone is from a different field and everybody's contributing so much. And we are, making such a huge impact on different people from different fields. I absolutely love it. And I hope more people join this collective group of helping people to make a greater impact by activating stem cells and doing other stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So
Thank
thank
you.
you all. Have a great evening.